confidence there. I love that. And I mean, Jimmy Butler is having a little bit of an effect with the Warriors. It's a small sample size, though. They've won 3 of their last 4 since Jimmy Butler has become a Warrior. You can see a little bit about what Steph's doing as well. He's playing good, too. And Jimmy Butler getting to the free throw line. That's something that Steph said this team was missing, guys being aggressive and being able to get there. All right. Let's bring in Anthony Slater. He covers the Warriors for The Athletic. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. We appreciate your time. I just want to start, first game back for both of these teams. They have the same record heading into this one. So what can we expect from this matchup?
I think there's going to be a lot of juice in the building. Whenever the Warriors, it's this NorCal battle that goes back, to a couple playoffs ago. I heard they got standing room only tickets, and you mentioned it. I mean, both teams are in the exact same spot in the West. It's a big game. They're rested. Almost everybody's healthy. No Kuminga on the Warrior side, but I think there's just going to be a lot of defensive energy on both sides, which generally creates a good game with a kind of a mixed crowd. There'll be plenty of Warriors fans, so good TV, I would say.
You mentioned Jonathan Kuminga, so I want to ask you any quick update on him. I know that he was able to practice but not scrimmage. Do you have any other word about Kuminga and his return?
Yeah, I heard he did some 2-on-2 and went through a pretty extensive, more individual workout with, like I said, some 2-on-2 yesterday. They kind of gave him today off. I don't expect to see him for the next, several games, but sometime maybe on this next road trip. It was a really bad ankle sprain. I hear he's still, experiencing a little bit of swelling after some workouts. So they're being cautious, but you'll see him at some point in the near future.
It'll be interesting to see how he adjusts with Jimmy Butler on the team now, too. And, with Jimmy Butler on the team and what they've been able to do just in a small sample size, how have you seen maybe other guys' roles change with Jimmy Butler added?
Yeah, I think he's really helped Brandon Pajemski, who's stepping into the starting lineup permanently, according to Steve Kerr, at this point. And it's just he adds a level of, you mentioned it in the lead-in, but free throw line. Gets to the rim, over half of his shots are in the restricted area. These are things the Warriors didn't do. They were last in the league in layup attempts, 4th fewest free throws per game. And he just brings a level of smarts and passing. And Steve Kerr likes to call it connect. He's a connector. And I think that helps a guy like Pajemski. It even helps a guy like Moses Moody slot into, a more firm role, which asks a little bit less of him. And, I think it helps Steve Kerr because it was a consolidation trade. This team, you can remember back early in the season, was 12 deep, a long rotation. I think that made the nightly choices for Steve Kerr difficult, and I think it took the rhythm out of a lot of their mid-rotation players. Well, now he has a more shortened, confident rotation, and I think a lot of the guys are flourishing more in that type of firm role.
Well, Draymond's definitely on board. We heard him say that this could help them get all the way. So curious to see how that unfolds. I want to ask you one question about the Kings, though, too. Zach LaVine obviously getting acclimated into their new, kind of format and finding his way. How do you feel like he's been able to make a mark here for the Kings? And what do you want to see more of from him as we keep going the second half?
He's not shooting it that well, and that's him, right? He was basically 50, 40, 90 almost at times with the Bulls this season, 45 really from 3. So from what I've heard talking to Kings people, it's a lot of trying to fit in, not trying to step on offensive toes. There's just a lot of really good offensive players around him in Sacramento. The way Monk's playing, obviously Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, who he's used to playing with in Chicago. So I think he's just kind of trying to mold into his new surroundings, and from what I gather, they're telling him to be more aggressive, try to find his shot more, but it takes some time.
Absolutely. Anthony, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and have fun at the game tonight. Should be a good one.
Yeah, it should be.
Thank you again. All right, guys, I want to start with the Warriors first. This is kind of look at what they have to come. A lot of those games on the road, so they're really going to get acclimated to each other because they'll all be together trying to get some wins here. I love what Draymond Green said, the confidence he had in it. Brendan, what do you think about Jimmy Butler being on the Warriors, how he's been able to play just the last couple games, and do you see this being the piece that they've been missing?
I definitely think he's a piece that helps his team. Whether he's going to be the championship piece, that remains to be seen because the West is incredibly tough. But Jimmy Butler does a lot for them as far as scoring, free throws, and he makes life a lot easier on Steph. You see right here, Jimmy sets the screen. Now he activates the weak side, gets down the middle, nice little pivot, finds Draymond on the weak side. Steph doesn't have to do anything. That's what he does. He makes Steph's job easier. Right here, Steph gets to play off the ball. Jimmy has it. You have to pay attention to Jimmy. Guess what? They shoot the gap on the screen. Steph pops back to the corner. Easy three-point work. Now we see Jimmy in the screen and roll. He's going to drive to the baseline. And guess what? This time, Steph's not going to have to work for a bucket at all because he cuts and Jimmy's going to find him. Easy work. You can't focus on Steph as much when you have Jimmy out there. That's what's going to be so key for this team. Now they're going to use Steph as a screen setter. Jimmy sees it, throws the ball ahead. Draymond sees him on the weak side. Steph, good screen. Jimmy with the nice dunk. Jimmy's going to be able to help this team in a lot of different fashions. First of all, he brings toughness and basketball smarts. Then he's going to be able to get to the free throw line. I did their game. I think they were playing in Milwaukee. I had a chance to call that game. He got to the free throw line 15 times. You never saw anybody go to the lane, go to the free throw line that many times for the Golden State Warriors in the past, probably since Kevin Durant was there. Last but not least, you can run offense through Jimmy, allow Steph to play on the weak side, which is going to allow Steph to get easier looks. Because when they're focused on Jimmy, Steph comes off a pin down, you can't tilt the whole side of the defense anymore because we have to worry about that guy. And let's not get it twisted. They're going to be even more dangerous when they get Kuminga back.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we've seen the uptick in Steph's numbers as well, just like from what you were saying. But do you think, I mean, Draymond has the tenacity, the attitude too, but Jimmy, does he just present a different type of mentality when it comes to this game, or is he like the Draymond and he's going to push these guys as well?
Well, I think those two together, like defensively and what Brendan just said offensively, you know, they're really smart about the way they play the game. Not only can they pass the ball, but they're good
veterans.
screen setters, right? And then they understand what to do and when to do it and how to do it. Right. So when you're talking about Jimmy, who's come from a Miami system that's very similar to Golden State system, their style of play, the way they move the basketball, the way they pass and cut. So his acclimation to the game is not as grandiose as it would be if he had to go to another team and learn a different scheme, different language, everything else. Miami, Golden State, they play similar styles offensively and defensively. So this is a perfect fit for him in Golden State.
The Warriors and Kings, both of them new-looking teams, are going to face off tonight in that later game. We've also got this one as well. The Wolves and the Rockets. Anthony Edwards doing his rocket tonight. Some of them already started, some of them getting into that fourth quarter. And we are excited to bring you all the action. We're going to talk about all these coming up. We've got some good ones in the East. And then first, though, we're going to talk a little bit and take you to our first game in a minute. But first, we got to welcome you into our Atlanta studios. Happy you could join us. We've got Isiah Thomas. We've got Brendan Haywood. I'm Ashley Shamedy. Guys, it's been a minute since I've worked with y'all, but happy to be here. Happy to talk some NBA.
It's been a minute, but welcome back.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks so much. Coming out of the All-Star break now, everyone is officially playing again.
Right.
This is the second half push, and a lot of teams are looking different. Isiah, are you foreseeing any team kind of making a jump this second half? Are you excited to see what these new teams look like?
You know, the most intriguing team to me is Golden State.
Okay.
You know, with Jimmy being there and you got Steph and them doing their thing with Draymond, I just think that they got a chance to get better and improve.
Okay. So you see them making a good push. What about you, Brendan?
For me, I'm going to stick with the Cleveland Cavaliers. We understand they've been the best team in the Eastern Conference all year long. Actually, the best team in the whole NBA. But I think that DeAndre Hunter move was very underrated. So I want to see if they can take even a bigger step with him, because I think he gives them that true three-man that can bounce out there and guard when they take on a team like Boston.
As we look at the Eastern Conference standings, I mean, do you see this team, Brendan, going along with Cleveland, being different in the postseason, being able to go a little bit further than they have the last couple of years?
Well, listen, I think that Cleveland and Boston are clearly the cream of the Eastern Conference. And when you look at a guy like DeAndre Hunter, who's averaging like 19, 20 points on the season, and even in a game like tonight, he has 16 points off the bench. This is a guy that's a true 3-and-D guy. He brings you that size, that 6'7", 6'8" build on the outside, strong, tough, physical, but then he can hit shots. And you need as many of those guys as possible in today's game, especially when you take on the team. If you're saying, hey, we might run into the Boston Celtics, we need somebody that we can throw on Jason Tatum. We can throw on Jaylen Brown that has size, and now they have that guy. They didn't have that before. They have him now. So I think DeAndre Hunter is really going to pay dividends for this Cleveland Cavaliers ball club.
Speaking of Boston, I mean, Boston went into Philly and really smacked them around. And Boston right now, they're playing the best basketball right now that I've seen.
Okay. All right, well, those two top contenders in the East, but also the Knicks, they're at third, and right now they're not looking at it playing the Cavs. And I know it's the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they've been rolling, and they continue to do so. Health has been such a key for them, and obviously the Knicks hoping to maybe get back Mitchell Robinson. But what is going on tonight? What are we seeing with this really lopsided score?
Cavaliers are right now, they're stomping the Knicks out, but it starts off with the way they've attacked the paint, and it's been ferocious.
And the confidence that they're playing with is just off the charts compared to last year also.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we obviously have to talk to Brendan when we talk about points in the paint, but overall, the Knicks haven't been able to beat some of these better teams, the top teams in the East. And, you know, we still have quite a bit until the postseason, but they have to figure out a way to try and beat these teams. Do you look at how they play in the regular season, or are we going to throw it aside because the postseason's the postseason, and as long as they show up then, that's all that matters?
Well, key word, you said they got to figure it out, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what Tibbs and the Knicks are doing against these top teams is that every time they play against them, they learn a little bit more about themselves. They learn a little bit more about the team they're playing against. And everything is about May and about June and maybe April when you get to the playoffs, right? So these matchups now during the regular season, particularly now at the end of the season, these guys, the Knicks right now are looking at these games as, can we learn how to beat Boston? Can we learn how to beat Cleveland? These teams that give us problems, can we learn how to beat them?
They've got a couple guys out with OG Anunoby and Josh Hart.
Last but not least, you can run offense through Jimmy, allow Steph to play on the weak side, which is going to allow Steph to get easier looks. Because when they're focused on Jimmy, Steph comes off a pin down, you can't tilt the whole side of the defense anymore because we have to worry about that guy. And let's not get it twisted. They're going to be even more dangerous when they get Kuminga back.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we've seen the uptick in Steph's numbers as well, just like from what you were saying. But do you think, I mean, Draymond has the tenacity, the attitude too, but Jimmy, does he just present a different type of mentality when it comes to this game, or is he like the Draymond and he's going to push these guys as well?
Well, I think those two together, like defensively and what Brendan just said offensively, you know, they're really smart about the way they play the game. Not only can they pass the ball, but they're good screen setters, right? And then they understand what to do and when to do it and how to do it. Right. So when you're talking about Jimmy, who's come from a Miami system that's very similar to go.
With unwavering confidence, the Golden State Warriors have found a new rhythm, and Jimmy Butler's arrival is already making an impact. While the sample size remains small, the numbers tell a compelling story. The Warriors have won 3 of their last 4 games since Butler donned the blue and gold. His presence is evident, not only in the box score but in the team's overall approach, particularly in their ability to get to the free throw line, something they have been sorely lacking. Aggressiveness, physicality, and a relentless drive toward the basket have returned to the Warriors' identity, a shift that could prove crucial in their playoff push. Tonight's game carries significant weight. It's a battle with history, a rivalry that traces back to heated playoff matchups. Both teams enter with identical records, setting the stage for a clash filled with intensity and playoff-like energy. The arena is packed. Standing room-only tickets are gone, and anticipation is at an all-time high. This is the kind of matchup that ignites a crowd, where defensive tenacity dictates the tempo and every possession feels magnified. The Warriors, nearly at full strength, are only missing Jonathan Kuminga, whose absence looms large. His return remains uncertain, but there's optimism that he could rejoin the squad during their upcoming road trip. The young forward is still dealing with swelling from a severe ankle sprain, prompting the team to take a cautious approach. With Butler now in the mix, his impact extends beyond individual performance. It reshapes the Warriors' rotation. Brandon Podziemski has firmly secured a starting role, a move Steve Kerr has endorsed, crediting Butler's ability to connect the team's offense. Butler's influence is evident in the numbers. Over half of his shots come at the rim, a stark contrast to the Warriors' previous struggles in generating high-percentage looks. The Warriors, once near the bottom of the league in layup attempts and free throws per game, are now played with renewed purpose in the paint. His arrival has also clarified roles for players like Moses Moody, who benefits from a more defined position within the rotation. Steve Kerr, previously managing a deep, fluctuating roster, now has a more structured and reliable lineup, allowing players to establish rhythm and consistency. The question remains, is Butler the missing piece in Golden State's championship puzzle? His impact is undeniable, from drawing defensive attention to creating easier opportunities for Stephen Curry. The Warriors have long relied on Curry's gravity, but with Butler in the fold, opposing defenses can no longer key in on the two-time MVP with the same intensity. Butler's ability to initiate offense, attack mismatches, and operate as a secondary playmaker relieves pressure off Curry, giving the Warriors' offense a new dynamic. The numbers further support his influence. Golden State has reached a free throw line at a rate not seen since Kevin Durant wore the uniform. Defensively, Butler brings a mentality that aligns with Draymond Green's, adding a level of toughness and leadership that could elevate the Warriors in high-stakes moments. His experience in Miami's system, which shares similarities with Golden State's motion-heavy offense, has made his transition seamless. Butler instinctively understands when to cut, when to pass, and how to move within an offense built on precision and constant motion. Across the court, the Sacramento Kings are navigating their own transition, integrating Zach LaVine into their high-powered offense. LaVine, still adjusting to his new surroundings, has yet to find his rhythm from beyond the arc, a surprise in development given his efficiency with the Bulls. The Kings' coaching staff has emphasized patience, urging him to assert himself more offensively. In a system filled with offensive weapons, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and Malik Monk, LaVine must carve out his role without disrupting the team's chemistry. Sacramento's strategy moving forward hinges on LaVine's ability to adapt while maintaining his scoring prowess. The conversation shifts to the Eastern Conference, where the Cleveland Cavaliers have quietly emerged as one of the league's most formidable teams. With DeAndre Hunter providing a much-needed defensive presence, Cleveland has positioned itself as a legitimate contender alongside Boston. Hunter's ability to guard multiple positions and contribute offensively gives the Cavs an element they lacked in previous playoff runs. The question remains, can they translate regular season success into postseason dominance? The answer will come this spring when matchups intensify and adjustments become the ultimate deciding factor. Meanwhile, the Boston Celtics continue to set the standard in the East, dismantling Philadelphia in a statement victory. Their depth, versatility, and defensive cohesion make them the team to beat. Yet, Cleveland's emergence cannot be ignored. Their physicality and confidence are at an all-time high. The battle for Eastern Conference supremacy is far from settled, but early signs indicate that the road to the finals will be fiercely contested. As the second half of the season unfolds, the landscape of the NBA is shifting. Teams are making adjustments, new acquisitions are settling in, and the playoff picture is beginning to take shape. The Golden State Warriors, reinvigorated by Jimmy Butler, are looking to make a surge. The Sacramento Kings are finding ways to integrate LaVine. The Cleveland Cavaliers are proving they belong among the elite. And in the East, the Boston Celtics remain the gold standard. The stage is set, the stakes are rising, and every game from here on out matters.